Hey guys, Distributor Magic here, and I've got fantastic news. Famous news YouTuber Philip DeFranco loves my face. I'm honored, Phil. But also, out of nowhere today, Blake Rasmussen, everybody's favorite worst author on the planet, wrote an announcement in the news section of Daily MTG. And I swear to you, if one more person asks me where the damn link is, it's on Daily MTG. Google it. You know, it's the website where all important announcements are, usually. It's owned and operated by Wizards of the Coast. Anyway, this one's short and simple, but there's a lot to it in the background. Its title is No More MSRP, which, if you're not familiar with that term, Manufacturer's Suggested Retail Price. It's the retail price that the manufacturer of a product suggests. That's how I got to 41k subs, everybody. Anyway, Blake says, starting with War of the Spark and moving forward, Wizards of the Coast will no longer be giving Magic products MSRPs. We're making this change to streamline our communications around new products. That's ironic because it does the opposite. MSRPs are not favored in many parts of the world. Okay, which led to some confusion among our global player base. As Magic becomes more and more global, it makes less and less sense to suggest a retail price. That whole entire paragraph was complete and utter bullshit, by the way. Don't worry, this isn't some big disruption to our products or the company. We believe the elimination of MSRP will simply help us communicate better to our players and the places where those players shop. Oh look, another paragraph full of bullshit. You'll see this change go into effect immediately with War of the Spark, which you can view a teaser trailer for now, which the teaser trailer is also bullshit. Oh, there's 36 planeswalkers, but only one will survive. Yeah, bullshit, they will. So I would say, 90% of this is not true? I should have stopped reading after the first sentence. So what does this really mean? The answer is nothing and a whole bunch. So their utterly, completely ridiculous statement that, people in China, they're not used to the concept of an MSRP, so we're just not going to do it. Okay, then don't do it there. Don't put it in their documentation. There are 6 or 7 distributors in America. Keep giving them an MSRP, because that's how we do things. But if you're familiar with either Magic products or all other products in all of America, pretty much nobody sticks to the MSRP. If you buy something for MSRP, you're an idiot, and you're shopping at the wrong store. It's pretty much just an excuse for retailers to say that they mark something down. Like, 20% off. Well, it's 20% off the MSRP, which nobody would charge ever. In fact, I just went and grabbed the tag, okay? I just bought a new winter coat. It's a Ben Sherman. Really, really, really nice. I look freaking amazing in it. So I looked at the tag and I saw, okay, MSRP, $280. So, it got me thinking, do I look $280 worth of good in this coat? And the answer is, hell yes, I do. But that's the MSRP. I looked at the tag behind it because, this is more of an outlet place selling it. $49.99. That is nearly 83% off this ridiculous MSRP. And honestly, it's warm and it looks totally amazing, but it ain't that high quality of materials. Anyway, that's pretty typical. What people usually do, if it's furniture, it'll be marked way down, or some clothing or whatever. But, sometimes it'll be MSRP is this and it's 10% off. That's cool, whatever. Sometimes they're real prices and sometimes they're super ideal boutique. Maybe you could get it in the middle of New York price and nobody in their right mind would charge anywhere near it. So it's a scale. But for Wizards of the Coast products, you go to Walmart, the MSRP on a booster, one single booster is $3.99, and I think they sell them for $4.19. They're above MSRP. I think GameStop and a couple others, maybe Target or something, maybe Walgreens, I think they might be higher. They're all that price or higher. So they take the MSRP seriously, and just in general, MSRP is usually what people end up charging pretty close to in products like this. Oh, and video games, forget it. Of course they're going to charge, exact MSRP, at least for the first couple months. So some products stick to it, some don't. So for them to remove MSRP completely, what does that really do? Well, it doesn't change the distributor price, or I should say it doesn't change what they sell to the distributors for. It has no effective bearing on what the distributors charge to sell it to the vendors. And it doesn't really change what the vendors sell them for, because I've heard of $100 a box. That's pretty standard at really big stores that are doing really well. I've heard as high as 110, 120, even 130, maybe. I think 125 is a pretty typical number that most land at, because it's $143 a box if you actually look at the actual MSRP. Now, before you all leave a comment, last time I talked about this, people said, no, my shop actually charges MSRP per box. It's like $143 a box or $140 flat or something, just under it. Well, your store sucks. But yeah, typically it will be below it. So all the seller, like at the individual local gaming stores, sells them for, like the price that they base it on, I should say, is X% above what they paid. That's how everything works. I mean, you can look at, some chair or something that you're buying and be like, oh, MSRP is $99.99 on this chair. Okay, we'll charge that because that's the suggested retail price. Or you can look at it and say, we're paying $30 for this. We'll be just fine within our margins if we sell it for $70. So just ignore MSRP and just say, this is what we're comfortable as with our operating expenses, the number of customers in and out. We can make money at this level. And then the number one thing they do is look around and look at their competition. Well, that's what stores already do. So if they completely took away the MSRP from, said furniture store, they would just do what most of them already do, which is, okay, what do we need to charge to make money on this based on what we paid? Okay, cool, let's do that. And then they look around and they compare, and MSRP is nothing but what you put on the tag if you want to be like, oh, look how much below the suggested retail price this is. Wow. So it won't change anything, right? It's just a naming thing. Maybe they weren't kidding when they said this is not a concept in other countries, so they're just cutting it completely. Which still, they could do it regionally. That is such a ridiculous statement. It's just not true. In my opinion, at least. It's not like I work there, but I know a lot about international sales and business. So is there any place where MSRP plays any kind of factor at all? Because, you go online with Magic and it's like $99 a box no matter what, who cares? MSRP isn't even considered at all. Well, believe it or not, at most distributors, they say all Magic products are blank % off MSRP. That's what we sell them for. That's how it was for years at ACD Distributors, at least, the distributor I used to use. And I think it was like 47% or something. It actually wasn't a very good markdown. And the reduction in price was different than all the rest of their products. In fact, maybe it actually started at 41, but here's the thing. They threw that out the window about a year ago and changed the prices down and then changed them right back up. So in other words, instead of just as a rule, we're charging exactly this % of MSRP, and if Wizards raises the MSRP, we'll raise the price, and that's that. No, they pretty much just said, screw it. We need more customers. Let's lower the price. And then, oh no, this isn't in line with our operating expenses and we don't like the way this is going. Okay, raise the price back up. So even though that's how it appeared to be based, it didn't really have any bearing on what they actually charged. Like, not really in any actual sense. I mean, they knew what they had to make. They looked at what they paid Wizards and they marked it up enough to make a profit. So once again, the MSRP means nothing because if they set it at 47%, that just means that's what they calculated they needed the margin to be. So honestly, if the MSRP went up, they'd probably just up the discount. But then if the MSRP stayed the same and their costs went up, which by the way did just happen, they'll just raise the prices, which by the way did just happen. So I think that's part of, what it is. I would say that's probably the number one driving force is the fact that they just started charging more per box at the distributor level. And distributors are like, why aren't you changing the MSRP? So they just threw MSRP out the window because nobody charges it anyway. So good riddance, nobody used it. It was a useless number, but there could be some negative consequences to this. This could be very important. This officially makes there be no price, no baseline, no number at all to base any kind of Magic sales on ever, which sounds fine, but some stores could now charge whatever they want. And you can't just say, oh, but they cost this much. No, it's market value. It is what it is. And the funny thing is stores don't sell them for market value. They don't go to TCG Player or eBay or Channel Fireball or Card Kingdom and say, oh, well, they're selling them for $98 a box, so I guess we have to match that. No, they just say $110 a box, take it or leave it. You can walk out the door with it right now, cash. Oh, by the way, plus local state sales tax, which just kills any kind of local business basically when trying to compete on the internet, but some recent laws have changed that. But let's say something is really hot and they raise the price and they say it's $150 a box. Can customers come in and say, you're selling it above MSRP, how dare you? And even from the vault, I mean, that's obviously a discontinued product, but that's a way better example. Some local gaming stores were selling it for $70 a box. Its official MSRP was $34.99, but they said, yeah, but the market, you can't get it on the entire internet below like 85, so we're selling it for 70, which is still a deal. Like, it's a hot product, it's a chance to make a lot of money. they're under no obligation to sell it for MSRP, like ever. That's so stupid. But they would have customer complaints. So that was such a limited print run, and it would happen all the time that stores, it was like a lose-lose scenario. So that's a really good reason to get rid of MSRP, except that that's gone. Now, Jace, the spellbook, the signature spellbook, those were really hot up front, and then they cooled off quite a bit, price-wise and popularity and everything. So my local store was like, no, we're selling it for MSRP. Like, we know it's worth, maybe, I think, what was it? It was $19.99, and the average value online was a little bit above $30, I think, maybe. Something like that. But they're like, no, we'll sell them for $19.99, but it's limit one per customer. And everybody's like, okay, cool. And a bunch of people picked up one, and everybody was happy. But the store could have made more money. And then the supply failed to dry up. I don't know if there's a second wave or not. I mean, I wasn't allowed to carry that product. I assume it was WPN only. I don't know. I wasn't allowed to buy it. That's all I know. So then they could sell it for lower. I mean, then would they say, oh no, we're not going to sell it for $17, which is the average eBay price. We're going to keep selling it for $19.99 because that's the MSRP. So it kind of gives them leeway both ways to just say, this is what the product is worth on the open market. This is what we're charging. They're close to each other, buy it or don't. And I think that flexibility will actually help out stores in general, at least for really hot products. But will it even come up? I mean, Wizards has been printing everything to death lately, except for Ultimate Masters, which, I mean, that was a very large print job, or print volume, I should say. But there was no second print run. There was no second wave at all. And, I mean, the value and the hype were real. So that stuff's expensive even right now per box. But other than that, boy, I bet I could call up my distributor right now and order a pallet of M19, because that didn't sell, because core sets are trash and they shouldn't have brought them back. They're valueless garbage and nobody wants them, and they're impossible to move. Which, coincidentally, is why they got rid of them. And then they brought them back, and look, they're doing the exact same thing. You idiots. Man, Wizards is dumb. They are really just so incapable of learning from their mistakes at all. So I think giving permission for really hot products and certain items to be sold a little bit higher, because there's no baseline the customers can point to and say, this is the price, this is it right here. It could theoretically help stores. I can't think of a way that it would really harm them. Other than, I guess, if somehow the distributors take this as some permission to suddenly add $5 a box, because they'll be like, well, there's no MSRP basis, so we're just going to charge whatever we want. Well, it's already based on their profit margin anyway. I can't imagine them doing this, and if they did, people would just switch distributors. Now, by the way, one more factor, and this is going to shock you. Every single person that I told this to was like, what? Okay, I just pulled up my invoice. I ordered about 15 grand worth of Ultimate Masters, and I paid $198.10 per box. Plus a ridiculous, and what I thought was illegal, actually, a 1.75% additional fee for me paying with a credit card. So a couple weeks after the release, my distributor was out, so I talked to a friend of mine who owns a store in the area, and I said, call up yours and see if they're out, because they said they had some, and that they were putting a limit of 2 cases per store per week. And so he called them up, and I got some for an okay price, and then the very next week, Monday, he called them up, because I said, well, I sold them, see if you can get me some more. And they said, oh, sure, we can ship you 1 case, but it's going to be $285 per box, okay? This is the distributor. $285. And this was like weeks, like a couple weeks, like maybe 3 weeks after UMA came out. Well, gee, thanks, guys. And you probably think I'm protecting them. Diamond Comics was the name of them. They're assholes. Don't use them. Frickin' throw them under the bus, shift in reverse, and run them back over. I don't give a shit. They're assholes. In the past, they accidentally broke street date on a product by shipping it to people for free with comic book orders accidentally. Allegedly. They are legitimately terrible. I heard their customer service is garbage too. Do not use Diamond Comics. They are the worst. Just kidding. Southern Hobby is the worst. But coming in at second place, we've got Diamond Comics. So whatever happened to we charge a fraction of MSRP based on a percentage or whatever, I don't know if that ever was their policy. Maybe it was a general baseline, but with distributors pulling crap like this, yeah, you might as well not have an MSRP. And I think Wizards knew about this. I think they got some complaints about this. I'm surprised with even some of the shadier distributors trying to rip people off. Oh, and one of them literally told Rudy, hey, if you pay more money per box, we will take box allocations away from other stores and sell them to you instead. And he's like, okay, and he paid more. So he basically bribed them to steal inventory from your LGS. That's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, most of the distributors are shady assholes and pull crap like this. So in both cases with both examples, why the hell have an MSRP? And I think things like that and more, oh, I could go on, are why they just took MSRP and tossed it straight out the window. Because distribution and who sells what for when to who and for how much is so crooked and so shady and so broken. And everybody's just going to go to that one absolute lying scumbag piece of human garbage on eBay and get the boxes for like $91 anyway. Why even bother with an MSRP? They're just basically throwing their hands in the air and saying, we give up. Product distribution for Magic products is an absolute shit show, and we are just gonna say it's a free-for-all. Sell it for whatever the hell you want. So in my opinion, and backed up with evidence and anecdotes, that's what really went into this decision, and that's what's actually going on behind the scenes. So needless to say, if you want the truth from somebody who's at least partially on the inside here to an extent, because, you know, I own a store that sells Magic cards, among other things, definitely hit that subscribe button. In fact, here, I'll give you something to subscribe over. They're trying to keep this on the down low, but you know, they're working on a MOBA, like a tug of war game, you know, MOBA. Everybody knows what a MOBA is, and I think it's going to be on mobile, a mobile MOBA. And they're also having Cryptic work on an MMO, like a full-blown multiplayer big giant game, like Neverwinter, which is pretty good actually. But details have been scarce, unless you're subbed to this channel, in which case you would know that one's probably going to be called Mana Strike and the other one's probably going to be called Plane Siege. And if you didn't want people leaking it, one, don't constantly piss me off and blacklist me, wizards, fuck you. And secondly, don't file a public trademark that early. So seriously, hit that subscribe button. I mean, this is the realest MTG news channel out there. Thanks for watching. I'm Philip DeFranco, which I guess loops back to I love my face, but I mean, okay, sure. And that's where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video and you like the way we try to dive into the news, let us know. Hit that like button. Also, if you're new here and you want more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to turn on notifications. Well, I mean, don't do that. I upload like 2 videos a day. That would just get annoying. Also, if you missed the last 2 shows and you want to catch up, too bad. But with that said, of course, as always, my name's not actually Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love your faces, and I'll see you next... Wait, what does he say? Oh, and I'll see you tomorrow.